What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. The aftermath of Rocky Mountain Race Week being over, and I wanted to walk through some 351 Windsor swap things and what not to do. For those of you who didn't know, I had a cleaver in my car, and it's basically a Windsor block with Cleveland heads. Still a lot of the same principles as the 351 Windsor swap, but my race engine went bad, and I had to on the fly figure something out. So I found a bone stock 351 Windsor and went through a lot of the same pains that I did the first time I did the swap again, and had to think on the fly. So it was on a Father's Day Sunday. Nothing was open. I had a day and a half to get everything together. And for those of you that have seen the results of that, is less than desirable, right? So this is the intake manifold that we've been using, and today that's going away. I finally found a used one. We got to do a Trick Flow R Series 351 Windsor upper and lower. But this is what we had to do on the fly. So this is a stock truck intake manifold. And I wanted to show you guys how restrictive the flow is on this. It's awful. So to use the blower, we had to use this 90mm throttle body. We had to cut it in on the end, and we blocked off the plate where the original twin blade 52mm throttle body was, just to get it to fit. So inside here, if I can get that off, Kai, can I have you grab that off there for me? So you got to yank pretty hard. There we go. So inside here is the there is JB weld on this, right? That's not the problem. The JB weld we used to make a flat surface. But you can see inside there, we had to cut a 90mm hole, and there's a flat plate that goes across the inside. Yeah, not the best. And like all three of these cylinders over here, you can see them trying to get flow over there. Look at that. So that was the issue that we ran into during trying to really throttle this thing, is the intake manifold. So you can see how restrictive that is. Yeah, no, I agree. Not good at all, but it got us through Rocky Mountain Race Week, and it's really hard to tune on this too. Not recommended at all. However, we made it work, right? Now we're gonna have to try to get this flange off this JB welded on. So the other thing I wanted to show you guys, I get a lot of people that have said, well, you can use 302 headers on a 351 Windsor swap. I'm gonna tell you that's false, because this is the second time I've tried to make that work. Those are 302 headers, 351 Windsor, and if you put them around the other way, they will not clear the steering shaft. There is no room. It hits on the header flange. They make a specific 351 Windsor swap header for these for a reason, because the deck height is so much taller. Now, if I got Western with a hammer, I could have probably beat them into submission, but yeah, it's not really good. I didn't want to warp the flange and then have issues with the exhaust gaskets sealing, so I did not do that. Instead, we just went right out the front. For those of you who haven't seen this, literally right out the front, in front of each tire with an exhaust pipe. So those are some of the biggest headaches people face, is the intake manifold and the exhaust. The challenging part is finding a good intake manifold that's not going to break the bank. And I was lucky, thanks to my buddy Zach. I found him on Craigslist. He had this intake manifold from a different project, and we're using this box R series, or not box R, but this is just the R series Trick Flow intake manifold. Super excited about using that. It's going to flow a hell of a lot better. But for any of those of you who have seen my car and see, like, we just ran into a brick wall trying to flow air at 4,000 and above RPM, and you can see why. I mean, like, it's just no bueno. All right, so in addition to the intake manifold, in addition to the exhaust, some other things, it depends on what you're going to run as far as the 351 Windsor swap, but I did all the Fox body accessory brackets, and this is a 351 Windsor swap plate that's on here. So that guy right there, that's a plate, 351 Windsor swap plate, that does work. So as far as the other not to-dos, I mean, that's pretty much it. The intake and exhaust, I would suggest to make sure you get the correct swap headers to make your life easier so you can run a full exhaust out the back. Intake manifold, man, if you want to try to make something work, there's a lot of people that were trying to tell me that a 302 intake manifold works too, like a 302 upper bolts to a 351 lower. let me show you. Here's a 302, and I tried, right? So there's a 302 upper. There is no way in hell that that is going to bolt to a 351 Windsor lower. It's wider from front to back. The bolt holes don't line up. The ports don't match at all. So I tried that as well. Your best bet for the intake manifold, here, I'll even show you. Here's the gasket for the 351 Windsor. See this? There's no possible way that you're going to get that to line up. And so any of you guys who think that you're going to make a 302 upper fit on a 351 Windsor lower, you're crazy. I'm just going to tell you that right now. There's no way that that's going to bolt. You might be able to machine a spacer if you had enough time, but why would you? I don't know. The most expensive part of this is the intake manifold. I'll tell you that right out. The intake manifold that I found on Craigslist normally retails for $800 without shipping. So do yourself a favor, get the correct intake manifold. And we made one work, right? That's not recommended. It's not recommended at all. But we made one work, and we're swapping it out today for a way better intake manifold. And I think you guys will be surprised to see the results in power, but just also all around drivability from what I had in there before. That manifold to the actual 351 Windsor trick flow manifold is going to flow a ton better. We'll be able to rev easier. We'll have a bunch more power. I'm still impressed that we made 266 horsepower at 3,800 RPM. So, all right, that's it for the what not to do's on a 351 Windsor. Do yourself a favor and get the right intake manifold. Get the correct exhaust. It'll help you in the long run. So, and for all of you who are curious, my goal is to get this intake manifold swapped over and try to make a track night tonight or Friday. So that's what we're trying to do. So we're going to swap over to that box or to the Trick Flow R Series intake manifold today and try to get everything squared away. So that's the plan. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you. I'm going to call that good for now. We got to get going on this thing so I can get the car to the track hopefully tonight. Let's see. All right, guys, if you have any questions, put them in the comments below. We'll talk to you soon, and I'll update you guys on how things go with the new intake manifold, but I can already tell you it's going to flow a hell of a lot better than the one that we had on there. Thanks for watching, guys. See you later.